Film with family. They love the family, they love the movies.
Hello and welcome to Film with Family. I'm Austin.
And I'm Zach.
And we are two cousins who like to talk about movies. And welcome to season 2 of Film with Family in 2024.
Season 2 is here, folks. Glad that you jumped back aboard the good ship Whale.
Well, it's not the season of the whale anymore. We'll have to find out what the theme of this year is.
Yeah, that's true.
Could be anything, but I feel like the whale will probably make a few more cameos this year. Good old phrase. Technically, this isn't our first episode of the year. Well, we did start our Patreon page this year and have a couple of episodes up on that right now. So if you feel like this isn't enough, we've got one that we just released last week where we're talking about our most anticipated movies of 2024 and also the worst movies of 2023.
Yeah, it's a fun episode. Go to our Patreon, pay $1.99 a month, and you'll get all that. Plus the Boy in the Heron episode with the Drew. The Drew himself.
In case you missed it, we did announce this in our Die Hard episode, but this year is going to be a little different. We're not going to be putting out an episode every week like we did last year. It's going to be every other week. So we got 2 main feed episodes a month. But if you get that Patreon for just $1.99, you get 3.
Yeah, I think it's still a great value.
Yeah. Later on, we'll be talking about our top 5 movies, the things we loved the most in 2023.
Yeah, me and Austin, we each got our own separate list of our top 5 movies of last year. Yeah. And boy, what a year it was.
Yeah, excited to talk to you about that. I think that it's good. You know, everybody likes to release their, end of year lists at the end of the year. Seems like that makes sense. But, there's a lot of 2023 spillover into 2024. I don't feel like you really get a full cinema year. A cinema year should end at the end of January, I think. So today, January 31st, I think is the official end of 2023 because there's like a month there where a ton of movies get released in end of December, beginning of January. And so you gotta like really take your time to soak in everything, that came out.
Yeah, don't get too antsy and post your end of the year list on December 1st.
Or you mean January 1st?
Yeah, I mean, but some people do that before the year's even over. They'll say, here's my favorite movies of the year. It's like, year's not even over yet, dude.
Yeah. Cinema year ends end of January. Everyone should know this by now.
Respect it.
Or we might say that the cinema year ends when the Oscar nominees are released.
Hey, that's what we're talking about today, actually. Our main dish for this episode.
So, Zach, yesterday, the 2024 96th Annual Academy Award nominations were announced.
Yes, as of this record.
Yes. So we got the list. We're going to go over all the Best Picture nominees.
And can you believe it? This was just a year ago. Our first episode we did this exact thing, our Oscar pool episode, our inaugural Film with Family episode. So,
yeah,
if we keep Film with Family going over the years, I think this is a nice tradition to start the season with looking at these Oscar nominations. So we're back again, doing it again for season 2.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
And I mean, looking at this list, we had a great year last year. There were some really great films, great directors, great.
This is one of the best years of movies in recent memory. Probably more times I've been to the movie theater than any year in my life, probably. I mean, part of that was the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, the podcast definitely motivated me. Last year, just in the theater alone, I saw 73 films in the theaters last year.
Wow. And you think that's like what, like $10 a ticket,
Yeah.
maybe more?
Yeah. Although I did start an AMC Stubs subscription last August,
Wow. How much does that cost you a month?
like $24 a month, and you get 3 free movies a week. So
Wow.
it's I wish I was doing it earlier because yeah, before that I was paying individually like $15 a pop.
Yeah, I have accounts at two different movie theaters that I frequent, and I'm not like I don't pay monthly, but I still am accruing points, and sometimes you get free popcorn, you get a free movie ticket, so it's worth
Yeah.
doing if you go enough.
But anyways, back to the Best Picture nominees.
Yeah, let's talk about them. Let's go through them.
This was a very predictable list, based on like the Golden Globes and the PGAs and the DGAs and the SAG Awards. Like it was pretty clear what was going to be nominated, I thought. So there wasn't too many surprises, but let's just list them off. So we have American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. Those are our nominees. How are you feeling about this list, Zach?
It's not a bad list. Yeah, it's got the big movies you would expect, like Oppenheimer and Killers of the Flower Moon.
Barbie.
Yeah, I was maybe a little unsure if Barbie was gonna get the nod for Best Picture, but it's kind of nice to see Barbie up there.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think this was like a very predictable list, and it's, considering how many other awards Oppenheimer is winning, I think this is just kind of a runaway train. It seems like,
Like everything, everywhere, all at once, kind of
yeah,
for Oppie.
yeah, I think Oppenheimer's kind of going to win everything, which I don't feel great about.
Yes, we did an episode on Oppenheimer last year,
Yeah.
and you were a little reserved on your pessimism on the film in that episode, but
Hmm.
in our summer episode, you kind of really let your true feelings heard.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm still kind of there. I would say like, well, let's get into it. Okay. So let's just go through these movies alphabetically and just talk about them. So first up, we got American Fiction starring Jeffrey Wright. How'd you feel about this movie, Zach? I know you saw it recently.
Yeah, so I got to watch that movie on my laptop alone in my bedroom, which maybe
Nice.
is not the most fun way to watch this movie. That's it's like half satirical comedy, like half kind of family drama-y kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, I had to find time with this movie, but I was expecting a little bit more, honestly, because of the hype around it. Made
Yeah.
it seem like it was going to be really funny, really great,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It didn't live up to my expectations exactly, but there were definitely some moments that I was like, "Oh, this is good."
Hmm.
Yeah, I definitely felt like I connected more with the kind of the satirical kind of comedy stuff more so than the family drama stuff.
No, I was really excited for this because the trailer is great. The trailer for this is really, really good.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing it a lot at the theaters, and I was definitely let down by it. I was not expecting it to be such a family. I mean, even though this is film with family, we should be loving family films. But I don't know. I just thought that some of the family drama aspect of it was kind of cheesy.
Yeah.
I wasn't really buying the whole like Sterling K. Brown being this like new gay guy and like exploring his sexuality. Like, it just felt like a concept that was like kind of wedged into the film in this weird way.
Yeah. Yeah, who
And
that performance is nominated for an Oscar,
yeah,
but
he's
I was not riveted by it either. I mean, I think he's a good actor. I like him in other stuff.
Yeah, no, I didn't think he did bad acting in this film. I just thought that the character was like seemed very contrived and sort of like, oh yeah, and then his brother's just turned gay, and he's like got these like cabana boys in his house. Like
Funny thing about the Cabana Boys, one of them is actually one of the actors that played one of the like the shirtless gay Cabana Boys is an actor that I worked with at Planet Ant,
oh, nice.
Alexander Pabutsky, and I was like, oh my god, he's in American Fiction.
That's awesome.
There's like a sketch with me and him in it where he plays an elf and like he's like trying to fuck me and like it's like wow, he's like in a real movie. So like I was excited to see him in there. He has some lines. So
Yeah.
nice on you, Alex.
Yeah, yeah. Good job. I mean, like, honestly, I thought that all the acting in this movie was really strong. The thing that disappointed me was the story. Like, I thought that it didn't lean into the fun of the premise enough. I thought, it's like the trailer doesn't give any indication that this is going to be about his family in any way. And for people who don't know, the premise of the movie is Jeffrey Wright is kind of a struggling intellectual author who's writing sort of big-brained novels. And being a black man, he's kind of bumping up against all these other black authors who are sort of trying to make, I don't know, stereotypically black novels where, they're like using like ebonics and
Yeah, slang, really leaning into that.
and he's like really resentful of that, like that they're getting all this success and he isn't. And so he sort of like one night when he's really drunk writes a book called My Pathology, where he's like plays this guy. He like invents a character named Stagger Lee, and like writes a book that he's like, a guy who just got out of prison, and then the book does really well, and so he has to like pretend that he's this guy. But like that is like only like 35% of the movie, I would say.
I mean, I feel like it's maybe like half the movie, but
Yeah, okay, it's half the movie. But I mean, I just really didn't feel like I felt like they could do so many more fun things with like him trying to be this other guy. But instead, they don't like really talk about his success that much. I don't know. It was fine. It was very middle of the road for me. I didn't really have much to say afterwards.
yeah, but did it seem like the audience was eating it up, or like was it getting laughs in the theater, or is it kind of tepid?
I think it was kind of tepid. I don't remember any like huge reactions.
I did listen to an interview with the director of the movie, and he was kind of talking about why he wanted to have all the family stuff in there, just to feel like he thought of it as like being an example of like the different kinds of black stories you can tell outside of just like the slavery stories or like the gangster stories or like civil rights type of movies that mostly get made by black people. It's like you can tell like these more just kind of more nuanced family dramas and stuff like that. So I kind of get his perspective from that way, but it doesn't totally cohere completely.
Yeah, there were some surprises in there that I liked. Like there's a really good scene when he's developing the book and like the characters like emerge in front of him, and one of them is Keith David.
Yeah, and they're like acting it out like while he's writing it. Yeah, I did like that scene. That was one of the good scenes.
Yeah, and I was like, ooh, here we go. Like so like this character, like these like imaginary characters are gonna like keep emerging around him as he like comes up with new stories or like goes on interviews or is like promoting the book, but it's just a one-off scene and that never happens again. We don't get any more Keith, and I love Keith.
Yeah,
Friend of Steve Downs.
Yeah, yeah, that would have been nice if they would have continued that. Yeah, because like you're saying in the trailer, like It feels like the trailer covers most of the ground, like that narrative gets in the movie. So like I was just expecting like it to go so much further than the movie actually goes with like the satire of that whole premise, but it doesn't go that far though.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Jeffrey Wright does do a good job, and he is nominated for best actor.
Hmm. Yeah, this movie is also nominated for adapted screenplay. I think it has a shot, but Oppenheimer's on this list too. So I'm just gonna like
Yeah,
assume that Oppenheimer's gonna get it.
yeah. A lot of these best picture movies are based off books.
Yeah.
They're adapted, folks.
Yeah. Barbie's on that list too, which is a little controversial, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah. This movie's also nominated for Best Original Score, which is weird because like I don't even remember music in it.
No, let's pull up a song from American Fiction because this is insane to me.
There's so many great scores this year, and
I
for this
know.
to make the list is kind of insulting.
I mean, they don't nominate Boy and the Heron for best original soundtrack, and I mean, like,
Yeah, that's a gorgeous score.
easily should have taken the place of American Fiction. But let's give it a chance. I don't even. It's so forgettable to me. But let's listen to a little bit of the soundtrack from American of a Fall.
Okay.
Zach.
I haven't seen this movie yet, but I definitely will see it before the Oscars and be able to talk about it then. But I think I heard that you've seen this movie.
Yep.
Well, I know that you did because you talked about it on our Chicago International Film Festival episode.
Yes. Yeah, I talked about it briefly then. Not much more to say about it. I didn't love it. I do want to see it again. But again, like I just kind of whodunit mystery movies, like murder mysteries, like don't really sit well with me. I just like get kind of bored with them. And this is very much that. But there are some really interesting scenes. The way that they edit this film is really cool. The way that they set up the mystery and kind of tease it out. There's a lot of courtroom drama that takes place in a French courtroom that is pretty wild. French courts are apparently just a free for all. And so that was kind of interesting to see that.
This movie is also nominated for Best Director for Justine Triet, the
Mhm.
only female nominee for the directors. So at least they got some female representation there. And also Best Original Screenplay and Best Editing, which you shouted out as being it's a highlight of this movie.
Yeah.
So it's receiving a good amount of love here. 5 nominations for this foreign language film.
Yeah. So Anatomy of a Fall won foreign language film and screenplay of a motion picture at the Golden Globes. So it's a contender. I would definitely encourage people to see it. I mean, I think that it's an interesting film. Again, like I really liked the editing, but there are some choices in it that I didn't really buy. There's a great dog in the movie. Really good, strong performance by a dog.
That gets me excited.
Yeah, the dog's name is Snoop. Snoop Dogg. Good
Okay.
dog. Great dog.
Did he like it more than American Fiction, or are they kind of in the same boat?
Yeah, they're like right middle of the road for me. But I'll refrain from talking too much about it and we can revisit after the Oscars on our Oscar app after you've seen it, hopefully.
Yeah, I'll definitely see it.
So now this is a big one. Barbie.
Yes. And we've already kind of delved into this movie on our Barbie episode with Rian, which is a great episode.
Yeah.
And we kind of like dug into it even more on our summer summary episode. So, our opinions about this movie are well documented,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we can just reiterate that we both like Barbie, and
Yes.
I'm happy to see it up here with among Best Picture.
But there is a lot of controversy about this. Both Greta Gerwig is not nominated for Best Director, and Margot Robbie is not nominated for Best Actress. However, Ryan Gosling is nominated for Supporting Actor, and America Ferrera, which I think kind of came out of nowhere, got nominated for Best Supporting Actress.
I think Gosling definitely deserved his nom.
I hope he wins, honestly.
Well, I'm not sure. I think I prefer Ruffalo, maybe a little bit.
Oh, true, true, true.
But they're kind of neck and neck for me. Both really great comedic performances, but
Yeah, you're right. But sadly, it's going to go to RDJ.
yeah, I think it's a lock.
I just think Oppenheimer is going to win all of these. It's like so fucking boring.
Yeah, Robert Downey did win the Golden Globe.
Yeah.
But, Barbie got a lot of nominations here.
Hmm.
I mean, of course, it'd be nice to see Greta and Margot get a nom because they did great work. But, this movie this is coming out with a lot of nominations, which is cool.
Does it bother you that neither of them were nominated? Does this like stick in your craw at all? Or like, are you just kind of like, whatever?
I feel like maybe the Margot Robbie one bothers me a little bit more than the Greta one for some reason.
Oh, I thought it would be reversed because you're such a big Greta head.
I do love Gerwig, but there's just so many well-directed movies this year, and there are less leading actress roles that really impressed me. I mean, we'll get to Maestro, but just Carey Mulligan getting nominated over Margot Robbie kind of annoys me.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree that. Yeah, I mean, I thought, but I do think that Margot Robbie was like a stand. I mean, like that movie, which was easily the most successful film of last year, doesn't exist without Margot Robbie just knocking the Barbie role out of the park. And it's not just because she's incredibly beautiful. I mean, like she really embodied that character and like gave life to literally a lifeless character.
Yeah, I think it's a much more subtle performance than maybe people give it credit for. I don't know, or she really nails the emotional moments, and I think she nails the comedy of it too, and also the physicality of it. There's a lot of difficult things that go into playing such a iconic character, and I definitely think she deserves a nom.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Both America Ferrera and Ryan Gosling were compelled to give a statement about the fact that they weren't nominated. Should I read this?
Yeah, I haven't heard this, so yeah, let's hear this.
Okay, so Ryan Gosling, this is his statement. I'm
Just do your best impression.
really extremely honored. I don't know what's a Ryan Gosling impression. So he basically says, I'm very honored. And then he says, but there is no Ken without Barbie. And there is no Barbie movie without Greta Gerwig and Margot Robbie, the two people most responsible for this history-making, globally celebrated film. No recognition would be possible for anyone on the film without their talent, grit, and genius. To say I'm disappointed that they are not nominated in their respective categories would be an understatement. Against all odds, with nothing but a couple of soulless, scantily clad, and thankfully crotchless dolls, they made us laugh, they broke our hearts, they pushed the culture, and they made history. Their work should be recognized along with the other very deserving nominees. Having said that, I am so happy for America Ferrera and the other incredible artists who contribute their talents to making this such a groundbreaking film.
Where did he post that? Like on Twitter? Or like, where did he make this statement?
I don't know. I think
Okay.
it's just maybe just a public announcement.
All right.
This they actually made this a nationally televised broadcast. He's said it from the Oval Office.
Wow. They interrupted regular programming.
Yeah. On that same note, Hillary Clinton also chimed in.
Oh,
saying Greta and Margot, while it can sting to win the box office but not take home the gold, your millions of fans love you. You're both so much more than Kenoff. Hashtag Hillary Barbie.
wow.
Shut the fuck up. Why are you trying to make yourself relevant through this? All right. Anyways, this is America Ferrera's statement in regards to Greta. She said, Greta has done just about everything that a director could do to deserve it. Creating this world and taking something that didn't have inherent value to most people and making it a global phenomenon. It feels disappointing to not see her on the list. And then in regards to Margot, she said, what Margot achieved as an actress is truly unbelievable. One of the things about Margot as an actress is how easy she makes everything look. And perhaps people got fooled into thinking that the work seems easy, but Margot is a magician as an actress in front of the screen. And it was one of the honors of my career to get to witness her pull off the amazing performance she did. She brings so much heart and humor and depth and joy and fun to the character. In my book, she is a master.
Oh, that's very nice. How do you feel about America Ferrera being nominated?
Fine. I mean, unfortunately, there weren't a lot of great supporting actress roles this year, it doesn't seem like. I mean, Emily Blunt in Oppenheimer,
Forgettable.
forgettable. I haven't seen The Color Purple yet, so I won't comment on Danielle Brooks's performance. Jodie Foster, I loved in Naiad. I really liked Naiad, surprisingly. I was like, at first, it grew on me as I was watching it. I was like, I don't know about this movie. There's a lot of swimming. And then, like, as it kept going, I was like, I really like this movie.
And I like swimming.
I'm gonna go for a dip.
I want to go for a swim right now. But I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Maybe I'll watch it.
And then you got Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers, which we'll talk about next, which I think she is a lock for this, or at least it seems like it. She won the Golden Globe. Should we just move on from Barbie and go into The Holdovers? It is our next movie.
Yeah, I feel like we've talked. Well, should acknowledge costume design, adapted screenplay, production design. 2 original songs were nominated. I'm Just Ken and Billie Eilish's What Was I Made For were the nominations for Barbie. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping I'm Just Ken wins Best Original Song.
Yes. If anything, I really hope they perform it and Ryan Gosling just gives it his all.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see if it happens. Maybe he won't do it because he's too upset that Margot and Greta didn't get nominated. I could see him holding out. But now let's talk about holding over.
Yeah, Holdovers. Directed by Alexander Payne. He's had kind of a long stretch between this and Downsizing, I think was his last movie. Yeah, so Downsizing was 2017.
We might do an episode on someday. We've threatened it. We talked about it.
Yeah, one of Drew's favorite movies. No, he famously hates that movie. But so Alexander Payne also did Election, which I love that movie with Matthew Broderick.
Sideways.
Have you seen Election?
No, I've really haven't seen any Alexander Payne movies except now I have seen The Holdovers.
Nice.
I watched it on a snowy night last week or maybe a couple weeks ago. But I thought it was great. I was fully charmed by it, and it's like chicken soup for the soul.
Yes. Yeah, and that's how I felt too. It's a perfect movie to watch on a cold, snowy night. And I was not expecting this at all, that it is a new Christmas classic.
Yeah.
Like you could watch this every year. It's like a perfect Scrooge type of tale.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Giamatti is fantastic in it. He plays this kind of curmudgeonly prep school teacher who,
I feel like he's like a history teacher, right?
Yeah. he doesn't suffer fools at all. He's failing people regardless of their clout or whatever, and he kind of rubs everybody the wrong way.
It also is revealed that he smells bad. It's one of my favorite parts of the movie when he admits that he has this like weird condition that makes him smell bad, particularly at night.
Yeah. Yeah. He really did that character dirty. Yeah, he's got like a lazy eye, and he's like really annoying, and he's like never been in love. This takes place during Christmas at a prep school, and there's a few students that don't have family, or for whatever reason they can't go home, and so they hold over at the prep school while one of the teachers kind of babysits them. And to everybody's dismay, it's this bummer of a professor, which they all call Wall Eye because he's got this lazy eye, which is great. I don't know what they did, if he's wearing a contact lens or Paul just has incredible eye muscle control, but it's great. It looks awesome on screen.
Yeah, very cinematic eye for sure.
But yeah, I mean, I was really charmed by it, and the one thing that really blew me away about it is that it's set in the 70s, but this movie looks like it is a 70s movie.
Yeah, yeah, it's got the film grain, it's got the slow zooms and
Slow fades, slow crossfades.
yeah, a lot of crossfading. Yeah, just kind of film techniques that feel very vintage, and it's great. It's perfectly executed in
Mhm.
that way.
It's not just the aesthetic of it. Like it's like the tone, the way the acting feels. Like this really does feel like a VHS that you'd pick up at Blockbuster.
Yeah,
It's just got such a throwback feel to it that
yeah,
is just precisely done.
yeah. I feel like you can even notice it like in like like the tone of like the audio, like the way
Hmm.
the people's voices sound even almost has kind of like a vintage warmth to it.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great vibes. Incredible soundtrack too. It's got a lot of great needle drops from like 70s era, and I don't know, just some great song choices. And I feel like the original score was quite nice too.
Yeah. Soundtrack is phenomenal. They've got this great the band Krungbin. I don't know.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
never pronounce their
yeah. That's a
name.
yeah, it's a more contemporary band, but they throw Khruangbin in there. You got Cat Stevens in there. Fits very well with the vibe of the movie.
Yeah, so I mean, this movie is very warm, very like relaxing. My brother Drew was hanging out with me over the last weekend, and we were rewatching it. Drew was making fun of it the entire time. Like he's just like, "Fucking morons! You all suck! I hate all of you." But yeah, rewatching it, I'm just like, I don't love Divine Joy Randolph's performance in it. Like she feels a little unremarkable. I don't know. But again, like this list of supporting actresses isn't very strong. Unfortunately, it just doesn't seem like Hollywood is making good supporting actress roles still.
I mean, I thought she was great in the movie,
Oh, you
personally.
did? Okay.
Yeah, and I thought her relationship with the Paul Giamatti's character was like my favorite part of the movie. Like I kind
Yeah.
of wanted more of them because I thought the kind of chemistry they have with each other is really sweet, and like just them watching like was it like the dating show, like the
The
Newlywed
Newlywed
Game?
Game. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like them watching that show together. I love those scenes. Her character is like grieving the loss of her son who died in Vietnam, right? Is that or like
Hmm.
some more? Yeah. And I feel like yeah, she does a good job of just portraying that kind of quiet grief. And I thought she was great. I was impressed, and I think she deserves the nom.
All right. Do you think she deserves the win? Because she's probably going to win.
Yeah, I think so. But I would posit if I could insert a nomination, I would put in Parker Posey for Beau's Afraid, and she would be my winner for that category.
Hell yeah. Put Patty LaPone in there while you're at it too.
Yeah, very small role, but I love Parker Posey in that film.
Amy Ryan too.
Or like the daughter of Nathan Lane and Amy Ryan, like she's really good too.
Dude, just put all of Beau is Afraid in
Yeah,
supporting
but
actress role.
Birthday Boy Stab Man in there,
uh,
a snubbed film, not a single nom. Very sad.
they should, I mean, even visual effects, they could have done that giant penis monster at least. Give the penis monster his due.
Yeah, I feel like that moment might have like screwed it out of like any Oscar potential. Like it's like this is not a serious film and has a penis monster in it.
But Joaquin Phoenix was nominated for Golden Globe for Beau is Afraid. So
Yeah, that was nice to see. But we're not talking the Globes.
yeah. Sorry. Well, I mean, they factor in here.
Okay, we can bring it up. We can talk about the Globes if you want.
But never again. And we're not fucking talking about the BAFTAs at all.
Yeah. BAFTAs make me want to barf.
Barfed. Film editing for Holdovers, man. I think that is feels like a contender, but
Yeah, for all those crossfades, expertly placed crossfades.
and just making it look so much like a 70s film. I mean, like in so many different ways. But once again, Oppenheimer may take that. Although Thelma Schoonmaker is in there, Marty's long-standing editor for Killers of the Flower Moon.
Does have original screenplay nom as well. One of the few original screenplays in this crop of best pictures.
I feel like they're going to give it to Anatomy of a Fall because it won the Globes for that again. So we'll see, though. I think that in terms of like an original story, I think The Holdovers is probably my favorite of this list.
Mm.
We got Anatomy of a Fall, Holdovers, Maestro, May, December, and Past Lives. Past Lives definitely close second, but I think between the two of them, I like The Holdovers more, just because it's like a movie I'll probably be coming back to a lot, like during the holidays.
I give the Holdovers the slight edge over May December, but really liked May December as well.
Yeah. It's interesting both that Maestro and May December are like original screenplays, but they're based on like real life events. I guess that's original still, but feels like that's more of an adapted situation.
Yeah, there is some debate over Barbie being an adapted screenplay because it really isn't. It's based off a toy, which has no narrative.
Exactly.
So that's kind of a weird thing. But anyway, let's move on. We got a lot of movies to get through here.
Yeah, we're not even halfway through. All right, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yes.
Fantastic film.
Yeah, we did an episode about this last year with my sister Jasmine and your brother Drew. A real fun episode, and we were all on the bandwagon for Killers of the Flower Moon. We thought it was a great film, a triumph.
Yes. And I still feel that way. I actually was watching it right before we were recording this episode.
Are you still getting that same good feeling from rewatching it?
I haven't completed my rewatch yet, so I still love it.
Yeah, it is a long movie, so it is an undertaking to deciding to rewatch it. And I feel like it won't be as impressive watching it at home as it was seeing in theaters, which was a real treat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very happy that it's nominated for Best Picture. It's my favorite film of this bunch.
Yes. Same. Yeah, and it's got a lot of nominations here. Lily Gladstone for Best Actress seems like the lock. Again, she won for Best Actress in a drama for the Golden Globes.
But she's going to be competing against Emma Stone, which has a lot of momentum right now, who also won for Best Actress in a comedy or musical at Golden Globes. So it seems like it's going to be a race between those two performances, but I hope Lily pulls it out because she's the performance for me.
Yeah, it really is close though. I mean, like rewatching it today, I mean, like her performance is so powerful and so subtle, but the things that Emma Stone is doing in Poor Things is just pretty remarkable. Like just like her whole development, the way that she moves her body, it's a very physical performance. But Lily Gladstone too. I mean, I don't know. I would I'm giving it to Lily for sure. I would rather her win
Yeah.
than Emma Stone.
Stone already has an Oscar.
Yeah.
This would be the first time a Native American actress has won a Best Actress Oscar. So it would be great to see some history being made this year. And it's a very deserving performance.
Yeah.
For sure.
Definitely will be some sort of a redemption story. We're going to probably be hearing the name Sacheen Littlefeather a lot, who is the woman who accepted Marlon Brando's Oscar win for The Godfather and got booed off the stage because she used it as a platform to talk about, the injustices to Native American people.
Hello, my name is Sacheen Littlefeather. I'm Apache, and I'm president of the National Native American Affirmative Image Committee. I'm representing Marlon Brando this evening, and he has asked me to tell you in a very long speech, which I cannot share with you presently because of time, but I will be glad to share with the press afterwards, that he very regretfully cannot accept this very generous award. And the reasons for this being are the treatment of American Indians today by the film industry. Excuse me.
It's a huge blemish in the history of the Academy Awards. And so this will be somewhat of a chance for them to redeem themselves.
And I hope they do. But we also got De Niro got nominated. Leo snubbed.
Yeah, that's a big snub. I think that he was one of the better performances of the year for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it does seem like he's the most divisive of the three leads of that movie. Some people don't care for Leo, or even my sister Jasmine was like, they could have found a better actor to play that role or something. So I can see why he got snubbed a little bit, but personally, I really like DiCaprio's performance in this movie. It's a tricky role.
It is a very tricky role, but he does kind of go over the top, and like we said in that episode, I mean, both Marty and De Niro were like kind of making fun of Leo for going off script a lot and like improvising a little too much, which shows, especially during that scene where he like yells at Molly, the character of Molly, for not like taking her medicine, and he does the whole like
the whooping,
the whooping and all that. Yeah, it's like all right. But
yeah,
I think he holds it down for the film. Martin Scorsese for Best Director. This is his 10th nomination for Best Director.
Well deserved.
I hope he wins it. And also nominated for Best Cinematography, Best Costume Design, which Jasmine would probably want that to win. Best Editing, Best Production Design, Best Original Score with Robbie Robertson getting a posthumous nomination there. Fucking love it. Yeah, such a great track.
A Song for My People, Best Original Song.
Yes.
I don't know how to pronounce the other. Wazazi.
Yeah.
I don't even remember this song.
Let's play it. All right. Speaking of music, Maestro. One of your favorites.
This is the worst film on this list by far. What a stinker.
Zach, why don't you elaborate a little bit on your hatred of this film?
Well, this movie stars Bradley Cooper and also directed by Bradley Cooper. But after watching this, I was like, maybe he should change his last name to Pooper.
Wow.
Because he pooped all over this film.
Even spending 6 years learning that scene, learn how to properly conduct.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I watched this movie at home and I just really could not care to be engaged with it at all. I really struggled with this movie. I really struggled with the performance of Leonard Bernstein by Bradley Cooper. I thought it was very annoying and
Mhm.
like him trying to be all show offy and Oscar baity. And
Yeah.
same goes for Carey Mulligan. I found her voice annoying, and
Yeah.
I didn't really the moments he's choosing to highlight of Leonard Bernstein's life felt odd and not interesting.
Yeah.
Is how I felt. And I feel like I didn't know anything about Leonard Bernstein going into this movie. And I kind of feel like I still don't know anything about him after watching this movie. Uh, it's kind of a waste.
Wow.
I do think the cinematography was definitely the highlight. I thought there's some
Mhm.
beautiful shots in here. And, it's pleasant to look at.
Yeah.
But that's about where my praise ends for this.
We watched this movie at Grandma's house during Christmas.
Well, I wasn't there.
Or not we, not you and me, but we, the family. It's like me and Rian and Grandma and Drew popped in for a little bit there. My mom says that Grandma had a crush on Leonard Bernstein,
Really?
but this did not show in her viewing. She did not say anything about how much she loved Leonard, or she just kind of watched it very passively. Yeah, I was pretty bored with this movie, I'll say, up until that scene where he conducts, I think it's like the London Philharmonic in like some cathedral. And I thought that was a really beautiful scene that kind of redeemed it for me. And I thought that the story of his wife, this very sad story of his wife struggling with cancer, the whole like her folding up the toilet paper and those scenes definitely got me a little bit. So I really liked the third act of this film. But yeah, everything leading up to that, like the Leonard Bernstein voice. Hi, I'm Lenny. I I'm a young Leonard Bernstein, and then when he gets all, it's like everything's down. I've completely changed my voice, and I'm very congested. Like it's just like pretty funny how it's like two completely different character performances, like
Yeah.
young Lenny to old Lenny. But I mean, you look at old clips and they do kind of sound like that. So I mean,
Yeah, I did look up an interview with Leonard Bernstein after seeing it, and it's like, oh, I guess he is kind of doing it, but
Yeah, yeah.
I still don't like it.
yeah,
Maybe I'd like it more on a rewatch. I don't know, but I don't think
yeah,
I could bring myself to try to watch this film again.
yeah. Yeah, I don't think I'll probably watch it again either. Maybe watch that one scene. But what about the makeup?
Yeah, I thought the makeup was good, and that's worthy of a nomination. Like he really, they get his neck waddle down. Like it looks like he really does have a neck waddle when he's old man Lenny. I think that is pretty impressive aged makeup there.
Yeah, I think this might have a chance to win for best makeup, even though it was a bit controversial because Bradley Cooper is not Jewish, but they gave him a very Jewish nose. But I don't know how you play Leonard Bernstein without giving him his iconic facial features. So
Yeah, I mean the Fablemans famously doesn't really cast any Jews except for like Seth Rogen or
true.
yeah, I mean yeah, just Hollywood has a long tradition, I guess, of having non-Jews playing Jews.
Hmm.
But yeah, this one it just rubbed me the wrong way, and I don't even hate Bradley Cooper in general. Like there's a lot of Bradley Cooper performances I enjoy, Even from just this year, him as Rocket Raccoon and Guardians of the Galaxy 3 had me in tears. So I'm not a
Yeah.
general Bradley Cooper hater, but something about this performance really rubbed me wrong.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Guardians of the Galaxy is nominated for an Oscar for visual effects. So, uh, being a completionist, Zach, I will watch this movie for you by Oscar time.
Really?
Hmm.
Wow, you're gonna watch every single movie that got nominated for anything.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah, if you have the time, I suppose,
I mean, there's not too many that I haven't seen. A lot of documentaries that I haven't seen, and I haven't seen any of the short films, some of the animated movies. Yeah, I probably won't be able to get them all, but we'll see what I get through. Definitely gonna watch Color Purple. Gonna try to watch Guardians of the Galaxy, whatever I have available on streaming, which is a few.
Yeah. Any more thoughts on Maestro?
Love the Snoopy shot. Love this. Love the Snoopy in the window at during the Macy's Day Parade. I think
Yeah.
that's or the
I totally missed that part. I was on my phone, so maybe I'd like the movie more if I was looking at my phone less.
yeah, true. I guess you got to watch it again. Moving on to the behemoth Oppenheimer with 13 nominations,
Wow.
just shy of the 14 record that's held by, I think, like La La Land and Titanic. For picture, actor, supporting actress, director, score, cinematography, adapted screenplay, production design, costume design, hair and makeup, editing, and sound.
Wow. Does it make you mad seeing this list?
I feel crazy. Like, am I the only one who didn't like this movie? I don't know. I think I was like becoming a bit at like how much I didn't like this movie. So it was like at the bottom of my list. Like I gave it like a half star on Letterboxd. But since then I've been a little softer on the film. Like, just looking at the whole, like everything I've seen, it's like, okay, it's not worse than fucking Air. It's not worse than, some other films. So I did bump it up a bit, but I think it is the bottom of the list of these 10.
You prefer Maestro?
I would prefer Maestro to Oppenheimer, just in sheer length, I think. I mean, like, I would watch Maestro before I would watch Oppenheimer again, for sure.
Wow. Yeah, I'm definitely more positive on this movie than you. I think it's a good movie, but yeah, I'm also not itching to rewatch it either. And you have rewatched it, so you got me beat there.
It's a fine movie, but like the fact that it's like just dominating everything does definitely like annoy the hell out of me.
Well, yeah, I don't know. There's definitely a lot of movies I liked a lot more than this movie this year. So it is a little annoying in that respect, but I do see that it is a technical achievement in a lot of ways. And I don't know, it doesn't feel like a classic biopic,
Hmm.
which I really like. It feels like it's doing its own thing, which I thought was kind of exciting when I watched it. Yeah, I don't know. I might rewatch it before the Oscars. I'm curious to see if my opinion goes down on a second watch or maybe it goes up.
I think this is going to get at least 8 awards. I think it's going to win picture, actor, supporting actor, director, score, cinematography, editing, and sound.
Hmm. Yeah, I could see it not getting makeup and hair. I could see it Emily Blunt not winning.
Costume design.
Yeah, that stuff is not that impressive. It's like, yeah, they're wearing fedoras and stuff. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Um,
So I don't know.
yeah. We can move on from
Yeah, I
Oppenheimer.
don't want to talk about it
We've
anymore.
talked about it too much.
Yeah. Okay, next up, Past Lives, which is such a lovely film.
Yes, I did get to see this one, and I thought it was very nice, very pleasant, very sweet, kind of sad. Yeah, I enjoyed the movie. I wasn't as emotionally invested in it as I was maybe hoping I would, just 'cause from the hype I was hearing around and people being like, "Oh,
Mhm.
this movie destroyed me." Like
Yeah.
I was like, "Ooh, I'm ready," but
Yeah.
it didn't really get me there. I feel like one of the more emotional scenes like happens pretty early on, and like it never really topped that moment, which was kind of weird. But I still really I liked the movie quite a bit, and it did give me some. It kind of reminded me of the Richard Linklater movies before Sunrise, before Sunset, which are movies I love, and
Mm.
so that stuff's
Yeah.
nice. It's a nice romantic movie.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great romance, told in a very unique way. I feel like it's more in a way like supernatural than it is emotional. Like there's like something about it that like you feel like you're looking at like an alternate reality. They really lean into this concept of fate. And for those who haven't seen it yet, I won't spoil it, but it's very interesting. This relationship that she has with a friend from South Korea, and then they like reunite, but at that point she's already married and has already like taken another direction in her life, but this guy is like still very much in love with her. And so it's kind of like a what if sort of story. And in that regard, it's really stuck with me because I keep just like thinking about that concept. I forget the name of it, but it's basically like this concept in South Korea that like you need to live 10,000 alternate lives before you meet your like one true love. And so it's like we're just like existing in this one iteration.
Yeah, definitely. They bring up that concept a few times, which yeah, definitely is gives it kind of a folkloric or supernatural kind of significance to it, which is
Hmm.
kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And all the performances in it are very good. Greta Lee's great, and
And her husband, John Magaro, who plays like Arthur,
yeah,
he is so good.
yeah, I really like that actor. He was in First Cow and in Showing Up this year, and he's great
Mm.
in both of those movies. I really like that actor.
Yeah, he just plays this like very beta male, very passive and not really fighting for Greta Lee's love. He just like kind of like takes it for granted in a way. And like that scene, there's a scene where he's sitting at dinner with her and her like long lost love, and he's just kind of like sitting there like looking really mopey, and it's just like that whole scene is just like burned into my head. It's like so painful to watch.
Yeah, I definitely was feeling for him at the end of the movie.
Excellent film, really really loved it. But yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. It didn't move me as emotionally as I was I guess expecting. It just made me think a lot more. So
Yeah, no tears for me on this film,
mm.
but I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, I was bawling my eyes out after watching this movie," but it didn't really get me there. But definitely a good movie, and
Yeah,
cool that it got nominated. A cool
yeah,
choice by the
yeah.
Academy.
Yeah. So it's only two for this one. So it's got the least nominations of all of these, with just picture and screenplay.
Yeah,
Really, really strong screenplay. So, maybe it'll win. I don't know. I feel like screenplay is one of the ones that is probably the most unpredictable right now.
yeah. I feel like Holdovers has a stronger shot at screenplay than this film.
And Anatomy of a Fall. Yeah. I'd say it's probably like third in line. I'd go Holdovers, Anatomy of a Fall, Past Lives, May, December, Maestro.
Should we move on to Poor Things?
Sure. Poor Things, which I would say is a close second for me, next to Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah, favorite film out of this batch.
Yeah, this is an incredible new film by Yorgos Lanthimos, one of your favorites, I know.
Yeah, I haven't seen all of his movies, but I've seen most of them, and he does great work.
A lot of nominations for this one too. I think it's got 10.
You got Best Picture, you got Best Actress for Emma Stone, you got Supporting Actor for Mark Ruffalo, who I kind of want to win it. I think he's so funny in this movie.
Yeah.
And doing something you've never seen a Mark Ruffalo like this before. He's
No.
doing something completely new, and it's a joy to watch. He's so good.
Yeah, every time I talk to people about this movie, which my feelings about it have definitely altered in the last month or so. I saw it at the Chicago International Film Festival pretty early. And when I saw it there, it just like absolutely blew me away. I was like, man, I think this is my favorite movie of the year. Then saw it again with you and Jazz and Drew over Christmas. And I was just as I think enough time had passed that like I'd kind of forgotten some of the stuff, and it was like all the jokes were still hitting, all of the storyline and all of the visual effects were still hitting for me. So I still really love it, but like since more people have seen it and I've like talked to a lot of different people about their perspective on it, my feelings have sort of changed a bit. How are you feeling about Core Things? I know that you've seen it twice too.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen it twice, two times in theaters. I don't know. I feel like came out both times feeling like this is a great movie. I don't fully love it, but I love the performances a lot. I love the world of it a lot. Something about the narrative I don't fully connect with. Yeah, I don't know, just like the story arc of it. Like the first time you're watching, it's like really exciting because it's such a strange, bizarre world, and like you just have no idea what's going to happen next. But kind of once you know what happens in it, it definitely was less exciting on the second watch, even though there was like, I feel like I was enjoying more the performances a little bit more on the second watch. But I don't know, there's just something about the narrative of this movie that it doesn't pull you along as like some other movies as much, and I don't know, it feels like it's lacking some real conflict. I feel like it doesn't feel like there's much conflict in the movie, which I mean, a great movie doesn't need to have a lot of conflict, but I don't know, I feel like it just felt like it was just like, oh, like she's just going along, she's learning stuff, she's doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't there's not much dramatic tension
Yeah.
really. And I feel like that's maybe what's maybe holding me back from really loving this movie.
Yeah, I have a similar feeling in hindsight about it. Yeah, again, I love the music in this movie. The music feels like it's from another planet.
Yeah.
All of the effects are remarkable. I love those little like chapter screens, like where it's like Lisbon, Paris.
Yeah, those are really incredible. Like
Yeah.
you could just like frame those on your wall, ready to go.
Yeah. Well, yeah, going off of that point, one of my friends, Dave, he really walked away from it not liking it because he felt like it's just like this kind of like Instagrammable movie, like where it's just like, oh, it's just like you can just see people just like having posters of screenshots of this movie like on their wall at like they're in their dorm or whatever, and like something a little like maybe like tacky about that, but I personally don't feel that way. Like I felt like I was really kind of blown away by the imagery of it. It reminded me a lot of Terry Gilliam's work, like his visuals.
Yeah, I agree with that. Maybe a little Tim Burton-y at times, like Tim Burton at his best.
Yep, agree with that too. And yeah, I'll differ from you a little bit in terms of like the my feeling about the story arc of it. I felt like Bella's story arc kept me interested because she was like learning as she went along. But the thing that has definitely like made me think twice about it in my estimation is the sexuality of it. She's essentially a child like discovering her sexuality and like being taken advantage of by like Mark Ruffalo's character and being like sold off as like a bride very early in her mental development. Like when I think back on that, it's just like a little icky.
Yeah, definitely on paper, it definitely sounds icky. And like I have a
Yeah.
friend of mine that like like kind of heard that premise and is like, I don't even feel like want to watch this movie just because like the
Mhm.
thought of that like creeped them out so much.
The fact that like she was like blowing bubbles when Mark Ruffalo's character like seduces her. I know that we're supposed to be like, well, we don't know where she is in her mind, like in her development, but like little kids are blowing bubbles. Like that's not like a teenage activity. It's like she's clearly like probably under 10.
Yeah. And she even calls sex furious jumping, which just sounds like how a child would describe sex. And
Yeah.
she's having sex. So that is definitely a little creepy.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the amazingness of Emma Stone's performance is that like she
Mhm.
like somehow threads the needle of like not when you're watching the movie, it doesn't feel that creepy, maybe
Yeah.
to me. I don't know. But like kind of thinking back on it, maybe like it's like it's kind of weird when you think about it a little bit more. And
Yeah. That didn't really occur to me like the first couple times I saw it, just because I felt like, oh, we're in this like fantasy land. She's like adapting at a rapid pace. Like the first situations of sexuality is like she's figuring it out on her own. She's consenting to everything. But when I get more of like more female perspective on it, I think that yeah, I see the kind of the creepiness of it.
yeah, it's harder to have like true consent when you're have the mind of a child.
Yes. Yeah. So there's like just some stuff about it that kind of like is weirding me out now and like makes me like be like, maybe this isn't my favorite.
But still a very interesting film and kind of crazy that it has this many nominations by the Academy.
Yeah.
It just feels like a movie that's a little too weird for this much Oscar love.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah. True.
kind of impressive that it's doing this well for how subversive and strange it is.
Yeah. Definitely agree with that. I wasn't expecting it to get this much recognition. But Emma Stone's great. I hope everybody watches The Curse, which is
Oh
her.
yeah, her and Nathan Fielder killing it. Benny Safdie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that show rules.
10 episodes of that. I honestly like that more than Poor Things as like a 10-hour movie. But anyways, we're not talking about that for another time.
Maybe on Patreon.
Yeah. Of a yeah, Curse episode.
The last film.
Yeah. So we're down to the last one and we're in the zone of interest.
And I'm interested to see this film because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, Jonathan Glazer directed, who did Sexy Beast,
And Under the Skin.
Under the Skin.
I haven't seen any of his movies, but I've heard about these movies.
Yeah. I saw Under the Skin a while back and it wasn't I didn't really love it. It didn't really resonate with me at all. And I watched Sexy Beast for the first time too recently before seeing Zone of Interest. And I wasn't amazed by it, although Ben Kingsley is incredible in it. Like he has these insane, like insulting monologues. It's like tons of swearing. It's like very like it's like if Snatch was in one location. Like
Yeah.
like it's a lot of fun in that way, but it gets a little I'm like, all right, enough.
Did you watch it with subtitles?
I had to watch it with subtitles. Yeah, like I couldn't even understand what they were saying.
Yeah. Doesn't your dad like that movie? I feel like you mentioned Sexy Beast.
Yeah, I think he does like it. Yeah, he was suggesting we do it for an episode actually. But yeah, I mean, if he wants to call in, take two on Sexy Beast, go for it.
Yeah.
I don't think I can do a full app though.
Yeah. Be curious to hear his take on Zone of Interest if he sees that.
Yeah. So Zone of Interest is basically a World War II film. It's based on a book about a real Nazi commandant who lived with his family, literally sharing a wall with Auschwitz. So like literally the family is on the other side of the wall of Auschwitz. And so it's a story of a mother and their children and this husband.
Family film with family.
It's a bit of a family film. It really is. But it's like very twisted. So it's like, like they're like playing in the pool in the backyard and like tending to the garden, but you're like hearing these screams and like gunshots and, like smoke from the ovens, like billowing like right outside, you know, their front door or their backyard. So it was very eerie, very disturbing. There are some elements of kind of like Kubrickian abstract scenes where like it will just like fade to like a red screen, and like the movie opens with like 5 minutes of just the score, which is so like gut punchingly haunting. It's just very, very scary soundtrack. And I was very conflicted watching the movie or coming out of the movie. I was very conflicted.
Do you feel like that's what the director intended you to feel, or?
Yeah, I do. And I don't know if I like it. Watching it, I was pretty stunned at some of the things that I was seeing. But there's an ending that I won't give away that really confused the message for me. Like where I just did not know what he was getting at. I'll refrain from saying too much just because you haven't seen it. And I think that some of the best elements of this movie are like elements of surprise. I don't know. In the same way that I was morally conflicted by Oppenheimer, I'm in the same way I'm conflicted by this movie. Even though Zone of Interest is doing some of the things, like it's managing for me to both do the things that I wish Oppenheimer did do in its subtlety and like its lack of dialogue, but also kind of like touching on some of the moral divisiveness that Oppenheimer. I have a problem with Oppenheimer as well. So complicated film, but still definitely on the top half of my favorite movies of last year.
So yeah, it's nominated for Picture, International Feature, Director, Adapted Screenplay, and Sound. I'm going to try to see it in theaters. I think it's playing at the Michigan Theater soon. So I'm going to try to catch it soon and get my take on the Zone of Interest. I'm not, yeah, it definitely doesn't sound like a fun time at the movies, but
Yeah,
I'm curious
intense.
to see how I feel about it.
Yeah. So we'll probably revisit it again after March 10th when the Oscars happen, and we will be reviewing it shortly after.
We'll be on the front lines.
So that's it. Those are the 10 Best Picture nominees.
Wow. So now do we want to do our top 5 lists of the year?
Let's do it, man. Man, Zach, I have been maybe thinking too much about these top 5, but I think I narrowed it down.
All right.
Are you feeling confident about your top 5?
I am. I'm feeling confident. I mean, I haven't seen every movie of last year, I never saw Dream Scenario, which seemed like a movie I would like, and I already mentioned the 2 Best Picture movies I haven't seen, but I feel like I saw a lot of stuff that I was excited to see. I saw the main stuff I was excited to see, and I got to rewatch all the movies in my top 3 I saw twice, so I feel pretty confident with my top 3. So yeah, I'm feeling good.
Cool. Why don't you just go through your list of 5?
All right. At number 5, I have Smoking Causes Coughing by Quentin Dupieux.
Nice.
A nice 77-minute French comedy, take on the Power Rangers. Really strange, funny movie. Loved it.
Nice. I just rewatched this with Drew a few days ago.
Drew Likey.
Drewy likey. And I liked it a lot too. It did come down in my list a little bit though, because I was just like, compared to some of the other movies, it's like it was hard for me to kind of put it over some other things. Just outside my top 10, Smoking Causes Coughing is at my number 11.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've only seen it once, but I really enjoyed that first watch, and I like thinking about it.
Yeah, in the thinking helmet.
Mm-hmm. And number 4, I got Killers of the Flower Moon, Martin
Nice.
Scorsese. You know how we feel about this movie.
Just talked about it.
Number 3, I got Asteroid City by Wes Anderson. My favorite guy.
Awesome.
Very sad that it got not a single nomination by the Oscars. Come on,
Yeah.
give it production design. Give it
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, even
Whatever.
made some lists of worst movies of the year, which was
Fuck
just
that.
totally fucking uncalled for. Yeah. I rewatched it recently too. Definitely, it shot up a lot for me. I mean, just the production design, the way that it's constructed, the script, everything. It's just such a meticulously crafted film.
Yeah, definitely seems like a movie. Every time you rewatch it, you'll get more out of it. I think it's very, it's an elusive kind of film at the first watch. It's definitely one of his most kind of experimental movies,
Yeah.
which kind of duped me on the first watch. But the second time I watched it, I was like, this movie's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And I still will put on that soundtrack every now and then. Great
Yeah.
songs.
Me too, honestly. Yeah.
And then number 2, oh yeah, the Alien song didn't get a Best Original Song nom either. What the hell?
I know. Dear Alien.
You
Such a
love
great
that
track.
Alien song. Number 2, I got Beau is Afraid by Ari Aster.
Nice.
This movie jumped up a lot. Well, it was in my top 10 on a first watch, but it jumped all the way up to 2 on a rewatch.
Nice.
Yeah, now I'm fully in with this movie. I love
Awesome.
everything about it. It's hilarious. It's insane. The attention to detail in this movie is out of this world. There's just so many little details I didn't pick up on the first watch that I got to enjoy rewatching it.
Yeah.
And it's an incredible movie.
It still like lingers in my mind in so many different ways. So it's in my top 10 for sure. It's at number 8 for me.
Nice. And number 1, I gotta give it up for The Boy and the Heron by Hayao
Nice.
Miyazaki. I've seen this movie. First, I saw it subbed, went back in theaters to see it dubbed, and I loved it both ways. I think I prefer subbed a little bit more, but the dub's fantastic. Robert Pattinson as the Heron is great. It's got Christian Bale, Willem Dafoe in there. I don't know, just one of our best, just a genius doing his thing, blessing us with another masterpiece. Maybe his last film, but I don't know. I love this movie, and it's got to be number 1.
That's great. I'm glad that it lived up to the hype for you. I know it was like probably your most anticipated movie of last year as well.
Yeah, I'm just, just kind of like Wes Anderson. I'm just predisposed to like this guy's vibe and the stuff that he does.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this movie is also kind of like Asteroid City, also very challenging in its themes. And there's a lot to chew on in both of those movies. So I kind of like seeing these guys that I love making a little bit more, experimental, more challenging kind of movies that I'm excited to rewatch for the rest of my life.
Awesome. All right.
Austin, I'm dying to hear your top 5.
All right. So number 5, I have Dream Scenario, starring Nicolas Cage and directed by Christopher Borgilli. Um, the more I think about this movie, the more I love it. I've only unfortunately been able to see it once so far because it's still like a $20 rental on Apple. But me and my friend saw this movie when it first came out to theaters, and it was just cracking me up. It, like, unlike American Fiction, is just fully leaning into a really fun premise of Nicolas Cage being in everybody's dreams, and it does like a really good job of basically being a commentary on cancel culture, but like in a very creative way that you wouldn't expect. So yeah, I mean, it's just a really, really fun time. Like, in a way, it like reminds me of like old 90s classic comedy movies like Liar Liar or like Groundhog's Day or something like that. I don't know. It's just like a fun old 90s premise that I can't wait to watch it again. And it just a lot of fun.
Yeah, I need to watch this movie as soon as I can.
Yeah. At number 4, I have How to Blow Up a Pipeline,
Wow.
which I just rewatched this morning, and it holds up great. It's got this really great sort of Safdie-esque soundtrack that I've clocked now since just after watching The Curse. Um, and it just drives in such a great way. It's got this like Ocean's 11 feel. It's got a really great message about like how do we combat climate change and, like big business, and how do you actually make change and deliver a message that's impactful. It's just a really good time. It's just very it's like a nail biter. You're in suspense the whole time. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one either. So yeah, I got to check that one off my list.
Yeah. Hulu. At number 3, The Iron Claw.
Ah,
Yes.
no, I have seen this one.
Yes. This movie totally took me by surprise. A24 film about the Von Erich brothers, who were a real wrestling family team. This is probably one of the most family movies of last year, I would say.
Oh yeah.
Like, in terms of film with family, this is a must see.
Hmm.
Everybody is so good in this movie. Got Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White, Holt McCallany, who you might know from Mindhunter. He's plays like such a good asshole dad. Zac Efron like is just physically, emotionally, mentally is just so solid in this movie.
Physically very solid.
Yeah, like he is just
Rock hard meat.
but his emotionality is so well done. He plays this like timid beast, like he's like so strong and muscular and like just looks like he could rip your head off, but he's actually like very timid and soft-hearted and
Yeah.
a little like insecure. And I bawled my eyes out at this movie. I was not expecting this to be an emotional film at all. I did not know anything about the real life story going in, so I had no expectations, which I think is part of my judgment of this film, but it just rocked me. Like, for anybody who doesn't know what happened, I won't spoil it, but it's very tragic. It's an incredibly tragic film.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I saw this movie on New Year's Eve by myself. Last film I watched of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was definitely a powerful theater going experience. Just taking this movie in
Mm-hmm.
on the last day of the year. And yeah, walking away from it, I was like, I want Zac Efron to win Best Actor at the Oscars.
Yes.
I felt like it was the best performance by a man I saw all year, for sure.
I think so too, honestly. Like I think that it's a tragedy that this wasn't recognized in any way and probably won't. I
Completely
mean,
snubbed.
yeah, I mean, I just think that, again, it's like this like timing of these films is very important. I think if maybe they would have released it a little bit earlier, would have maybe gotten some recognition, but unfortunately nothing. And this movie is incredible. I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, so you were totally unfamiliar with the Von Erich story before going in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
And I didn't even know it was a true story until the end card.
Yeah, which is like an extra gut punch on the.
Yeah.
Yeah, just yeah. I kind of forgot that. I think at some going in, I knew it was a true story, but when you're watching it, it just feels like a movie. It doesn't feel like this is like a true
Yeah.
story movie. Like it just feels like a movie. So I was like,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel biopic-y at all, which is incredible.
Yeah. All right. At number 2, Total Dark Horse. This is a movie I watched yesterday.
Yesterday.
And I don't know if this is recency bias or whatever, but I'm just going with my feeling here. So when the nominations for the Oscars came out yesterday, they listed best documentaries, and it was pretty clear that this film was favored. It's 20 Days in Mariupol. This is a documentary created by a Associated Press journalist who was on the ground in Ukraine in the very first days of the Ukraine war. And this is the kind of documentary I feel like I've been waiting my entire life to see.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like an exaggeration, but it truly is. Like, this is a guy who was on the ground getting raw footage of a historic event, a tragic event, and it is so graphic, totally unfiltered, raw footage of a modern war that I have never seen before. I couldn't believe what I was watching as I was watching it, and I feel there's no talking heads in this. There's no commentary other than the filmmaker, who is both the director, the writer, and the camera operator for the entire film. I can't pronounce his name correctly, probably, but it's like Mastalev Chernov. And you just hear his kind of somber, clearly like traumatized voice, like in the background of this whole film, commenting on what he's seeing. And, it's interspliced with him actually trying to send this footage to the Associated Press so they can get it out to different news outlets. And so you see like this intercut with how, different news agencies are reporting on this footage that he's sending out. So he was able to capture some of the first images of that maternity ward that was struck in the early days of the war. That was like a huge turning point for the war. And this is like some of the most like disturbing footage you'll ever see, like of like pregnant women like fighting for their lives. I haven't seen a film like this where like the person making the film is the person who was there and saw all this stuff and is like so brave to have been documenting these atrocities. It's just so remarkable. And I haven't seen the other best documentary features, but I got to imagine that this is going to win. So, I mean, it would be incredible if something was better than this.
Yeah, where do you watch this movie?
It's actually a Frontline PBS like episode. So you can watch it on PBS. It's also on Prime. And yeah, oh yeah, you can watch the whole thing on YouTube.
All right.
And at number 1, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Nice. I was like, wondering, it's like, is Peeler is not even in his top 5.
Actually, it's Wonka.
Wonka at number 1. That feels right.
It is in my top 10.
Nice.
But yeah, Killers of the Flower Moon, I just think is an extraordinary achievement by Martin Scorsese. We've talked about it extensively. Check out our episode. My feelings haven't changed since then.
Some brutal films in your top 5 there.
Yeah, they're all pretty serious, other than Dream Scenario.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Poor Things and Beau is Afraid, they're like 7 and 8. Barbie's at number 10. My second, and Wonka's number 9. So my second half is a lot more cheery. But I don't know. Serious films impact me more. Like I like things that have a serious message. I like documentaries. I don't know.
That's what's great about a top 5. You can glean a lot from a person and their taste just from that. And now you got our top 5s. And yeah, I'm glad that we got to do this, and so fun to be back in the saddle. Film with Family season 2. Thanks for listening to this episode. We talked a lot of movies, and we love to do it.
Yeah, we're back, folks, and we got a lot of fun stuff lined up for you. We've already recorded a few of them. We got new family members, old family members. We're excited to keep this film reel a rolling.
And we want to thank you for listening to this episode. And if you want to be caught up with all things Film with Family, you can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Film with Family.
Yeah. And if you'd like to send us an email, tell us what your top 5 movies are of 2023, or tell us what movie you think should win the Academy Award. Send us an email at filmwithfamilypodcast@gmail.com.
And of course, we mentioned at the top of the episode, but we are on Patreon now at Film with Family. And for the low price of $1.99 a month, you can get a bonus episode every month.
Yeah. We got a lot of ideas for what we're going to be putting up on there, and we're excited to share, and we hope that you join us there. And, we love the movies.
And we love our family.
Great to be back, Zach.
Yes.
Season 2.
And then do we want to tease our next episode? It's already in the bank.
Yes, and our next episode will be our Valentine's episode with our cousin from California, Scout Zweifler.
Yes, and the movie we're going to be talking about is Uptown Girls. So if you want to rewatch or watch it for the first time to get prepared, that's a good idea. Real fun episode.
Uptown Girls, which I believe you can watch on Max. So check it out. See ya on Valentine's, folks.
Bye.